You're tuned in to Night Transmission, a broadcast carried by dead air, stitched through the bones of forgotten cities. Tonight's signal comes from beneath the streets of London. 5 students, 1 night, and the last hours of a city trying not to die. This isn't a war story. This isn't a rescue mission. This is what happens when the world forgets how to be human, and something else takes its place. Listen closely, because the city doesn't sleep. It remembers.
I remember the exact moment it all started to go wrong. It wasn't dramatic, not at first. No screams, no sirens, no warning, just the wrong kind of quiet, right where the city should have been loudest. We were on Charlotte Street, outside some overpriced ramen bar Marcus swore was authentic, which usually meant expensive and disappointing. We were celebrating the end of term, last exam behind us, summer ahead, nothing to do and nowhere to be for once. The street was buzzing, beer bottles clinking, heels on pavement, shouts from open windows. Typical London Friday. Back then, we thought the worst thing that could happen was Marcus failing his mechanics module. If only. It was the 5 of us that night. Marcus, my best mate since year 7. Tall, loud, unshakably confident in that way only engineers and drunk uncles can be. Ellie, camera always around her neck, speaking in edits and jump cuts like her whole life was one long vlog. Riz, hoodie up even in summer, brain constantly racing 3 problems ahead of the present. Tasha, calm, sharp-eyed, quieter than the rest, but twice as aware, studying medicine, already halfway to a doctor even if she didn't act like it. And me, John, history student, North London, born and raised, chronic overthinker, observer, the guy who makes sure everyone gets home, whether they want to or not. We had just finished our 2nd pint at some tiny candlelit bar, one of those places with £6 crisps and ironic disco playlists. Everyone was loose, buzzing, the kind of buzz where you forget you're broke, forget rent's due, forget you haven't called your mum in a week. We were laughing at something Ellie said, something about Riz looking like a sleep-deprived otter, when I noticed it. The silence. It rolled in from the street like fog. Conversations outside stopped. Music faded. Even the bar staff paused, half-poured drinks in hand. Then came the first sound. Not a scream. Not yet. It was the screech of a bus veering off course, tires squealing against the curb, metal grinding. Then a crash, glass shattering. A car alarm wailed, quickly joined by another. Then another. The bartender moved to the window. What the? That's when we heard it. The scream. Not from a movie, not a drunk girl losing her friends. Something primal, ripped out from the core. Marcus stood, already moving. Let's check it. Don't be a hero, I muttered, grabbing my jacket. Ellie had her camera out already. Riz was muttering to himself, something about mobile networks and signal loss. Tasha just said, "Stay close." Outside, people were running. Not the usual missed the last tube run. A real run. Desperate, uncoordinated. Some were barefoot. A man was shouting in Spanish. Another just sobbing, hands covered in blood. Then we saw the girl. Maybe 20, maybe drunk. Staggering out of the Tesco Express like she'd been dropped there. Her dress was torn, eyes unfocused, jaw twitching like she was trying to speak, but couldn't. A man approached her, older, maybe just trying to help. She lunged. No warning, just lunged. Bit into his face like it was food. The crowd screamed. We ran. We cut down Whitfield Street, hearts pounding. I could hear Riz behind me muttering GPS coordinates like a prayer. Ellie was gasping, camera still in hand. Marcus kept shouting for us to stay together. Tasha's voice cut through. Don't stop. Tube station. Now. But the closer we got to Good Street, the more wrong everything looked. People pushing against the locked gates. Others clawing to get out. A woman trapped inside the glass booth, pounding on the window, screaming for help. Blood smeared across the wall like someone had tried to spell a word and failed halfway through. Marcus froze. "We need to get above ground. Keep moving." "No," Riz said, his voice shaking. "We go west, towards Warren Street. It's a bigger hub, more exits." "We'll get trapped in the tunnels," Ellie hissed. But I could already hear them. The growls, like dogs choking on glass. And the footsteps. Heavy, uncoordinated, too many. I made the call. "Warren Street. Now move." The streets were chaos. People screaming, cars crashed, phones dead. The city felt like it had forgotten how to function. We ducked through alleys, hopping fences, past a burning Pret-a-Manger. Someone had smashed in the front, and the till was ripped apart. Not looted, destroyed. Above us, a helicopter circled. Low. Too low. A voice crackled through a loudspeaker, but the words were swallowed by the city's roar. "Did anyone catch that?" I shouted. Riz looked pale. I think they said, "Stay inside, barricade, avoid contact." What the hell is contact supposed to mean? "Anyone infected," Tasha said. "Anyone showing symptoms, like the girl." We stopped at the entrance to a car park off Euston Road. It was dark, empty, and silent. Too silent. Ellie was still filming. "I can't not capture this. It's history." "You want history?" I snapped. "This is how it ends. London just eating itself." "Not yet it hasn't," Marcus said. "We're still here, and we need a plan." We barricaded ourselves in the security office of the car park. Steel door, cameras, emergency radio that only played static, a vending machine full of expired crisps. It wasn't perfect, but it was the first moment we had to breathe. I watched the security feeds, the ones still working. People running, then walking, then changing. It wasn't a virus, not like the movies. It wasn't rage or rabies or some lab leak. It was something else. Something in the air, or maybe something that snuck in with the rain. Something that knew how to spread faster than any disease should. Tasha was checking Marcus's arm. He'd scraped it on the gate, but no bite. No blood contact. Riz sat cross-legged in the corner, laptop open, trying to map out what was still online. Ellie asked the question we were all thinking. Is this it? Like, the end? I didn't answer. Not because I didn't know, but because I did. London didn't fall all at once. It cracked. First the phones went, then the news, then the trains, then the people. And by the time anyone noticed, the rot had already set in. We stayed in that office until 2:43 a.m. That's when the power cut, and the cameras went dark. Then we heard the first hand slap against the steel door. We didn't open the door. Didn't have to. The thing on the other side didn't knock. It tested. Like it knew the edges. Like it could smell the shape of us through the metal. The slaps weren't frantic. They were curious. Calm. And then they stopped. We didn't sleep. We barely breathed. Riz stayed glued to the laptop, bathed in its dying light. Battery at 9%. Ellie finally stopped filming. Tasha unwrapped protein bars from her bag, like it was a field hospital. Marcus just paced, silent, for once. Me? I sat with my back to the door, because someone had to. We waited an hour before moving, maybe more. Our watches were all off, phones bricked, no signals, no notifications, no tweets, no London. When we finally stepped out, the sky was bleeding grey. A low fog had rolled in, blanketing the tops of buildings like the city had decided to cover its own eyes. Marcus carried a wrench he'd found in the maintenance box. I held the security guard's flashlight, heavy, dented, barely working. It flickered with every step. "Where now?" Riz asked, voice a whisper. Underground, Marcus said. We tried that, Ellie snapped. No, I said. Not the tube. Below. London sits on top of its own corpse. Old lines, forgotten tunnels, steam pipes, war bunkers. Layers built on layers. Like a lie you keep telling yourself until you forget which part was true. We grew up knowing those myths. Ghost stations, abandoned lines, secret trains. We joked about it, thought it was cool. Now it felt like maybe the city always knew it would come to this. We entered through a service hatch off Gower Street, half hidden behind a construction fence. I remembered it from a YouTube video Marcus once showed me. Urban explorers sneaking into old ventilation tunnels. Now we weren't exploring. We were escaping. The tunnel dropped fast. Rusted stairs, dripping ceilings. The air was thick, moist, metallic, and wrong. The deeper we went, the more the city above disappeared. No sirens, no screaming, just the hum of pipes and our own breath. We found the passage half collapsed, walls buckled like paper. Somewhere past the bend, water had pooled ankle deep. Riz tripped on a pipe and nearly went under. Jesus! He hissed. Quiet, Tasha said. Sound echoes down here. That's when we heard it. The train, not a modern one. No brakes, screeching, or announcement chimes. This was different. Older. A heavy thud, thud, thud on warped tracks. Like the heartbeat of something buried alive. Then headlights cutting through the dark, growing. No way, Ellie breathed. We pressed ourselves against the damp wall. The flashlight flickered and died. The train passed. Slow. Silent. Inside, no driver. Carriages empty except for a few figures. Standing, unmoving. Heads bowed, then gone. Even the ghosts were running. We moved fast after that. No one spoke. Every step forward felt like sinking. The tunnels opened into a larger chamber. A wartime bunker, I think. Rusted beds, old gas masks, collapsed crates, and bones. Small ones. Children's shoes still sitting beneath a bunk. Tasha touched my shoulder. Don't look too long. But I already had. We made camp there. Boiled rainwater from the ceiling in an old tin. Ate the last of the protein bars. Riz tried to get signal. There's interference everywhere, like deliberate jamming. This isn't just collapse. Someone cut the lines. Who? Marcus asked. Why? Containment, Tasha said. Quarantine. You cut off the city to stop it spreading. Bit late for that, Ellie muttered. I didn't say anything, because I remembered what I saw on the security cameras. It wasn't just spreading, it was thinking. We slept in shifts, or tried to. Sometime deep in the night, or morning, I don't know. I heard the train again, but fainter. Like it was further inside the walls. Ellie was awake beside me, staring at the ceiling. You think we're gonna die down here? She whispered. I shrugged. Not tonight. She nodded, like that was enough. It wasn't. The next part is hazy, like a dream, but worse. Dreams at least make sense in their own way. We heard movement up ahead, not footsteps, dragging, like wet cloth pulled across tiles. Marcus and I went first. Ellie followed, camera now used as a torch. We turned a corner and saw it. A man. Maybe. Face gone. Not eaten. Peeled. Skin sloughed off like paper. Eyes milk white but locked on us. And then he spoke. Or tried. What came out wasn't language. It was repetition. Like a broken recording. Leave. 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 He didn't attack. Didn't move. He just repeated the word like it was stuck. Then he screamed, collapsed into himself, and melted. No fire, no light, just gone. Riz threw up. Tasha pulled us back, and we ran. Something in the dark had learned how to speak, but not how to forget. We emerged near an old maintenance platform, maybe part of the Northern Line. Still no signal. We climbed out through a staff door and found ourselves back on the surface. It was morning now, sky a sick yellow, city dead. Smoke rose from Fitzrovia. Helicopters circled in the distance, but none landed. A dog barked somewhere and stopped mid-howl. Ellie filmed it all. Tasha found a working payphone, but the line just hissed. We scavenged what we could. Bottled water from a looted off-license, protein shakes from a smashed gym. Riz kept checking rooftops for movement. Marcus found a crowbar and wouldn't let go. Then we heard the broadcast. Old speaker, crackling. Evacuation point, Hyde Park, Western Gate. All survivors proceed immediately. Do not delay. Transmission ends. It looped once, then died. We looked at each other. And we ran. That's when we saw them. The survivors. Maybe 30 people, huddled around benches, ducking under tarps, holding radios and bags and whatever hadn't been stolen. They all had the same look, half-starved animals waiting for the butcher or the bus, whichever came first. At the edge stood a soldier. Real one. Uniform torn, rifle slung low, helmet missing. He saw us and waved us forward. We hesitated. "You're late," he said, voice cracking. "You're the last." Marcus stepped forward. "Evac still happening?" "Helicopters. One more sweep. 15 minutes. After that, I don't know." He didn't smile, didn't look relieved. Just tired. Real tired. We joined the group. Ellie stopped filming. Tasha handed out bottled water. Riz sat beside a boy who couldn't have been older than 10, his arms wrapped around a broken radio like it would bring his parents back. I stared at the skyline. I've seen London 1,000 ways. Sunrise over Tower Bridge, fog rolling across the Thames, lights flickering from the eye. But I'd never seen it empty, not like this. And somewhere in that stillness, I almost believed we'd make it. Then the soldier started coughing. At first, it was just a dry cough. Could have been anything. Dust, stress. But then came the twitch. The neck jerk, the nails tearing into his own leg like he was trying to rip something out. Tasha moved first. "He's turning!" Marcus grabbed his wrench. Too late. The soldier screamed. Not like a person. Like a thing waking up inside his bones. Then he bit. Right into the neck of the woman nearest him. She gurgled and collapsed. And just like that, the crowd broke. Hyde Park didn't burn. It tore itself apart. Panic, screaming, people pushing, trampling. A child crushed beneath a bench. A man turning mid-run and throwing himself at his wife. The soldier didn't die when he was shot. Tasha fired the rifle she'd yanked off his shoulder. Hit him clean. Didn't matter. He kept moving. We ran. Of course we did. Through the trees, across the grass, toward the sound of the approaching rotors. A helicopter hovered at the far end of the park. Close, but not landing. Shouting through the speaker, but the wind drowned it out. Marcus waved his arms. "We're here! Come down!" Nothing. Then another scream. Ellie tripped. I grabbed her. Tasha dragged Riz. Marcus kept waving. The helicopter rose just a few feet. Then more. Then gone. "Why?" Riz said. "Too dangerous," I answered, numb. They saw us. They left. We stood in the center of a park full of corpses. A city with no exits. No help. No future. London didn't fall to monsters. It fell to decisions. Night fell again, fast this time, like the city couldn't stand to see what it had become. We found shelter in a bandstand, boarded it, watched the infected drag bodies across the grass like they were building nests. Ellie cried quietly. Marcus didn't speak. Tasha loaded the rifle with the last bullet. Riz finally closed his laptop. And I started talking. Not to them. To you. To whoever finds this. whoever's left. Whoever thinks maybe, just maybe, this place could be saved. It can't. Not London, not anymore. We left Hyde Park after midnight. Not because it was safe, because it was worse staying still. The sky was black now, not starless, lightless, like the city had stopped reflecting anything at all. We didn't talk about the helicopter, didn't talk about the rifle, didn't talk about what Ellie had filmed, the pile of corpses, the half-eaten soldier twitching in the grass, the man gnawing on his own fingers like they owed him something. We just moved. We went underground. For the last time. Riz led us back toward the tube. Not the working stations, the abandoned ones. Down Street, York Road, Aldwych, London's secrets. He said they connected, said the government once used them for storage, or planning, or escape. I think he just didn't want to be topside anymore. None of us did. We entered through a rusted gate behind a Costa near Piccadilly. It took Marcus 20 minutes to break the lock. It took Ellie 1 second to film it. We descended in silence. Old tiles, chipped paint, wartime posters peeling off the wall. Keep calm and carry on. Yeah, that aged well. The tunnels were colder now, wet. The walls dripped like they were sweating fear. The deeper we went, the more the air felt occupied, not haunted, lived in, like something had made a nest. We found the train in the dark. One car, abandoned, rusted through, interior covered in moss and fungus and teeth. Teeth, human, dozens, lined across the seats like offerings. Tasha gagged, Marcus stared, and Ellie filmed. Quiet, hands shaking. Riz ran. We followed. We ended up in a part of the tunnel that wasn't on any map. No signage, no tracks, just concrete and old brick. It pulsed, like something deep below was breathing. We heard voices again. Not human, not clear. Repetition. Whispers looped like broken chants. We are the way. We are the way. We are the way. Then it stopped. Just stopped.
There are no headlines left. No breaking news. No recovery efforts. London didn't fall. It was peeled back. What was underneath was always waiting. The voices are quieter now, but the city still speaks, beneath the concrete, inside the tunnels, behind the static. And if you listen long enough, you'll hear it. The same message, over and over again. There is no way out. This has been a night transmission. Signal ends. But the noise goes on.